Also, until 2 weeks later, it is the harvest time for the corns, and after the corn, in winter, the late of.
One of the things I don't do much anymore is play the piano, and I wouldn't even call what I do playing the piano. Let's call it, I sit down and I vent any frustration or anxiety. When I was a small boy, my mother tried to get me into taking the piano, and I think we lived in Kentucky. I was probably 5 or 6 years old, and she would take me to the piano teacher, and I just wouldn't play. I'd go out and play with the piano teacher's son, and she'd come back, pick me up, and unfortunately when I was smaller, I just didn't have the self-discipline to sit down and play, let alone practice. I couldn't even sit at the piano and play, or concentrate. I started playing when I turned 24. It was a birthday present to myself. I always wanted to follow through on that, so I went and I took about a year and a half worth of lessons. And it's like anything, you use it or you lose it, and I've lost a lot of it, but I still, one of the things I said when I bought a house is I wanted to get a piano, and I've got this old junk that I bought for a couple $100. And the nice thing about a real piano is it allows you to bang the keys, so you know, you really can get finger exercises that way. And I find that when I don't play the piano for a while, it actually starts to hurt. And I have an electronic keyboard as well, and it's just not the same thing. So today it's actually a Saturday, and I didn't go into work this morning. Instead, I wanted to play the piano, got some yard work, and I also wanted to follow up with a second hello-tingting video as well as some work videos. Otherwise, you know, if you don't get on it, it will fall apart. So onward and upward, as they say. So thank you. Lots of people waiting and waiting.
How are you?
Good. How you doing? She was dancing, waiting for you.
Yes, my little sister. This is my aunt. This is my uncle. Yes.
I met them.
Oh yeah.
I just can't talk to them. The other thing with China is when you go to the cities, it's obviously very crowded. I don't know what the exact population is there, but let's round it off to 1.5 billion. As you probably know, they have the one-child policy for the last 20 or 30 years, and which restricts how many children you can have if you live in the cities. They're talking about easing that off, but when you think about this, most people probably think China is a lot larger than the United States. In fact, the United States is slightly larger geographically. I believe the United States has 3.7 million square miles, and China is 3.7 million, and the United States is 3.8. And Alaska is 700,000, so that definitely puts us over the top. But when you think about it, if the United States is a population of 300 million, China is a population of 1.5 billion. That's 5 times the population in roughly the same amount of space. And then the United States, I believe 60% or 80% of people, whatever the percentage is, it's a high percentage of people live within an hour of a major metropolis in the United States. So you take Boston and put a 60-mile diameter around the city, then you basically get most of that population around New York, LA, Chicago, DC, same thing. And China is the same way. I would say most of their population is probably on the East Coast, Beijing, Shanghai, Hangzhou, Ningbo, those type of places along the coast, as well as down in the south near Shenzhen, Hong Kong. Not all of them, obviously. And the other amazing thing about China is the United States, okay, if you look at the map, going from San Diego up to Bangor, Maine, that's pretty much the longest stretch in the continental U.S. I think that's 3,300 miles, okay, in a straight line. If you take all the way from western China and go up to the northeast of China, it's 3,700 miles. So it's a wider country than the United States. And the reason I mention that is because from San Diego over to Maine, you've got 3 time zones. You've got Pacific, Mountain, Central, Eastern. And so, well, 3 time zone difference. It's 4 time zones. And so it's a 3-hour difference. And so 10 o'clock at night in New York, 7 o'clock in San Diego. Now, you go over to China, and you're in the extreme east or the extreme west, it's the same time zone. And that's something I've always found fascinating, is you just set your clock and that's it. In fact, I'll just say this in closing. One of the things that I really like about China is that they're not politically correct. Maybe they're getting more so now, but basically it is the way it is over there, and that's it. They don't worry about hurting your feelings or leaving people out. They know when you have 1.5 billion people, you're going to hurt somebody's feelings and you're going to leave somebody out. And I think that's something the United States can start taking a lesson on, is you can be kind and gentle, but sometimes actions have to be taken and people aren't going to like it. So, all right, signing off. Thanks.